What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Hot Toys 1/6 scale DC figure unboxing. And today we have a bit of a deluxe version, I think, or maybe like a special edition type of deal, because what I have here is the Batman from the Batman movie, Robert Pattinson's Batman, Matt Reeves directed Batman, and this is Hot Toys presents the Batman and Bat Signal. So I got, I think, the Bat Signal itself to come along with this. Very cool. It's got, you know, Robert Pattinson's Batman, the Bat symbol, the Batman all in red with a little question mark down there, a little bit of Gotham in the background, in a little bit of blue on the side over here. We have the Riddler. I don't know if you can see that. Creeping onto the side of the box with a little bit of blue rain. We have a red Batman logo, the Batman. Legal information around the back with a couple of question marks floating around. There's some red rain with the question mark logo over here. Kind of like the Bat Gotham Bridge with the Bat logos with the question marks floating around. Very cool. Very cool indeed, but I'm not going to waste any time. Let's slide off the top of this box and pull out this figure and see what this big old box has to offer. This thing is huge. Oh my god. Oh Christ. Did this need to be so large? So on the bottom of the box here, you got your instructions, and then it looks like a couple of cards. It says the Batman at the top. It's kind of got like the fire, and then I think it's got a couple of others in here. Maybe even has like a swap out outfit or something that maybe feels like that in there. I don't know what this figure comes with. I'm gonna have to dive into this and see, but it looks like maybe a whole display base, and then the Bat Signal itself, and then the Batman himself with a different head sculpt. Oh man, this is so cool. I didn't think this character was going to come with so much, but I knew it had to have because the friggin' box was ginormous. And to be honest with you, I thought I bought just the Batman, and then it showed up with the Batman and the Bat Signal, and I was like, I like accessories, I like props, that's fine. Like, it will just make them look better in the display base because they'll have something to stand next to. But let's pop off the top of this and see what we got going on here. Whoa, look at how large that is. Like next to my head. Like that is a huge base. And you can move it down so it can be forward or up, whatever you so want, whatever your heart desires. No battery slot though, so it looks like it's just USB-C powered. But that means you could probably plug it in and turn it on and leave it on if you had a cord and like a battery pack hooked up to it. Very cool, very large. And what I'm already seeing that I love about this is that it comes with multiple pieces for the display base, comes with a crotch grabber, comes with a display base that just says the Batman on it, you know, so it comes with just a regular display base, or, you know, it has like this deluxe display base, and it has the Bat Signal. So kudos to Hot Toys in this figure because they knew what we would want. You know, we wanted, if it comes with some extra steps, have some extra steps, have this, you know, in case you don't want to use this, you can use just the traditional Batman, you know, with the crotch grabber. And this comes with a couple of different versions here. You know, you can have the flaming version, and can just have this black and red, the Batman version. And, you know, once you put the crotch grabber through the little slot there, then it, you know, clamps it down and it won't go nowhere. Or I think you can peel off the back and really stick it down to it if you wanted to make it more permanent. Not a bad looking display base there though, just like a traditional square base. But let's take a closer look at some of these accessories. The cowl, just an empty cowl for him. I do love the way that this bat suit looks. Originally when I saw it, I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then now that I've seen it in action so much, like, I absolutely love it. It's got a swap out hairpiece, it's got a Pattinson head sculpt, it's got a couple of different facial expressions for the actual suit itself. I think it's time. What am I waiting for, you know? But let's pull out the figure himself. Very interesting. The head is on a magnet instead of like a ball peg, which makes it for easy swapping in and out, I guess, and maybe some better articulation. But there is some plastic around that. Let me grab that. Now put that head sculpt on there. Oh my god, that's creepy. Can you adjust the eyes in this? Oh, you can. Oh man, this one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be a lot of fun. This cape feels awful. Oh, first thing I don't like. The figure feels great, the cape feels awful, but I think there is a swap out cape that this comes with, and like it's like its own entirely different thing that you can put on this figure. But so far, just sitting in front of me, it does look pretty good. But the terrible cape on his back does have wired edges, so if you want to set him up in some type of, you know, display pose with it swooping off to one side, you could. So I'm thinking just the feel of this cape I don't like, but the way I'll be able to get it to sit, it will sit fine and I'll like it then. But the actual head sculpt itself, oh god, that looks so good. I mean, the jaw really reminds me of Pattinson's jaw. The cowl looks so unique and different to like every other Batman. Like, it feels like it's almost kind of like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman suit. It feels like a leather bat mask that he made from just scraps of leather around the house, and he like sewed them together. And it's like more of like a leather cowl than a rubber cowl, because you can see like the scuffs in the, you know, like the pores of the leather, and then how it's been battle damaged from many nights of wearing it out into Gotham. Like, oh, that looks so good. But let's be real. Let's be real. I loved this movie, but the favorite and best part about the Batman movie is that Michael Giacchino's score. I mean, it lives rent-free inside my body at all times. It's just at any moment could just go bum 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 bum. And then you get that moment right at the beginning of the movie. October 31st, the streets are chaos for the holiday, you know, like it's like Halloween, and you just get that dum 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 bum 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 bum, and as he's like tiptoeing through the streets. I think there's like a drifter version of this Batman with more of like his street outfit that he does in like the, you know, like on back of the Bat Cycle as he's like hunting down Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. Oh, I love that movie so much. I just watched it recently too, and now I want to watch it all over again. What I really like about this Batman is his utility belt. It feels like it has a bunch of open slots for all of his accessories. So, you know, all of his accessories aren't just in the box. You know, like I hate when a figure comes with a bunch of accessories, and then you can only really use whatever he's using at the moment, and then all of the other accessories are in the box. Like Cable, for instance, he came with a shit ton of accessories, but he had holsters and he had spots on his person where he could put all the things. So he's got pretty much nothing except for swap out hands in his box still, and all of his guns and all of his accessories, the grenades, the knife, everything, the mine, the bear, everything that he came with, his cloak, his, you know, everything is on him and able to be posed and displayed with him. You know, and I feel like when you got a figure that comes with a ton of accessories and they can be stored on the body as it's standing there, that's a bonus plus for me. You know, I really like that. And, you know, thinking about it, there's like a new James Bond Commando figure, and I had already pre-ordered the suit version, you know, like, because James Bond, I picture wearing a suit. But I also picture Daniel Craig's James Bond with a ton of gear on him, you know, and that outfit and that commando suit comes with a ton of stuff and accessories that he can use and wear on him for majority of the time, which I feel like I'm going to get that and then be able to, you know, put all of his guns and all of his stuff on him, and then that's how I'll have him posed in my collection. But speaking of accessories, why don't I pull out everything else that this Batman 1/6 scale with the bat signal comes with, lay it all out in front of me on the desk here, and I'll show you a closer look at everything that Batman comes with in all of his accessories.
Alright everybody, we have the Batman and the bat signal and all of his accessories laid out on the table in front of me here, filling the entire goddamn frame because this figure comes with so much accessories. But we'll go through and explain what each one of these is. On the left here, we have one of these display-based cards. This one looks like a fire effect that matches up with the fire effect background with the Batman up at the top. And that can kind of be like a display base, kind of like how my bank robber Joker has a little background display base, like kind of having a foreground to put behind your character to be able to pose him with some type of background scene going on. Not necessary, but cool that they included it. They also include a black and red The Batman one, and you can see the little hole at the top there goes into the crotch grabber hole where the crotch grabber goes into the base, but it also comes with a normal tile base that matches more of the staircase. We'll go over that now, and the display base diorama that it comes with. This does have a light up effect, and I do have the railings on the wrong side at the current moment, but I just wanted to be able to show off that you could put it on either side you want, and these do come apart, just wiggle tight fit with that little thing sliding into the grooves here. But you can see it can go on the bottom one, or it could go on the top one. And then you have this space underneath here where that base could go, and then extend this out even further, and then it has the Batman on the front. But I'll show you what that looks like when we're playing with all three of these. And this does have a light up feature, which is just your iPhone cord or the USB-C or whatever it's called. And that just goes right in that side there. And then these front steps light up. Although this front step doesn't light up, but if you're like me and you're going to have it off in your display base for most of the time, at least it has this kind of uniform look to it across the way, where it's like these, you can get the idea that they're supposed to all light up, even though the top step doesn't, but the bottom two does. But I will show that when we're getting closer look at the light up effects on the bat signal and the staircase. He comes with a wired cape already on him, and then he comes with a secondary cape. If you're looking for it and you can't find it, it is taped underneath the clamshell tray to the side. So I almost didn't see it in there at first too. But I believe this goes right over his head, and a little Velcro right there at the top. And then the chest piece goes over the Velcro to really secure it in there so it's not going to go anywhere. But I believe this is a wired cape as well, and a shorter cape, but it's meant for when he's riding his Bat motorcycle, which I don't have. He also comes with his flight suit, like the one scene we see with him in the movie, where it's more of like a parachute wingsuit than like his traditional flying with the cape like we've seen in the past. But I like that he included this because it shows hey, he is thinking about trying to fly around Gotham. He just wasn't very good at it because he flies one time in the movie with this and he slams himself up underneath the bridge, which I thought was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. But I don't know if I'll try that out on him, but it's there anyways in case you do. You can see a couple accessories here. This maybe looks like a flashlight, or maybe like it's a flare, and then this is like the flare when it's extended, but I don't know what this is supposed to be. It just lists it in the instructions as tools, but I don't know what kind of tools those are. There's also these two other smaller ones that my roommate said these might be the flares, but I don't think so. I think, maybe this is like a magic marker. It's something. Maybe this is like his, adrenaline he stabs himself with. I don't know. So he's got his grappling guns that connect to his gauntlets on either side, and you could put it on either side if you'd like. It's got two holes up front, and that you can put in the grappling hook extended going out, or just like it's just about to be shot. But I like that they do include the grappling hook, and it was one of those things where I don't see it on his tool belt, or it wasn't really an accessory we see him use a whole lot. But it's just built into his gauntlet to be used whenever he's, necessary. It's almost like a quick shooter. It just pops out and bam, grappling gun, gotta go. He also includes a To the Batman card and the actual card that comes in the envelope. From your secret friend, who? Haven't a clue? Let's play a game, just me and you. And it's got the little bit of the cipher on the sheet there, and it says, what does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still. And just very cool that not a necessary detail, but included in there. So very cool that comes in there as well. And then you can see the swap out hands, a couple of grabbing hands, a couple of fist hands, a couple of hands for the grappling gun, a splayed out left hand, but not a right hand, which I thought was weird. It comes with 4 sets of hands, including the one that comes on him, and then this extra spare hand there. And I was like, what does that do? But you can see the detail on this hand and how there's kind of padded or maybe steel knuckles on this hand. And he does have those 2 little almost claw-like things on the index and middle fingers on his hand. But maybe this is for like throwing the batarang or something, and like the batarang can fit between those two fingers. Maybe, but this is the only, like, why didn't it come with a right hand like this? It also comes with this gorgeous looking cowl that is meant for him just to be able to hold when he's wearing like the Bruce Wayne head sculpt, which we'll go over that in a second. But yeah, just like a beautiful cowl, and like the damage on it, and just like, you know, seeing it in person, how it's like made out of these different panels of leather, and then it looks like it was sewn together in just the perfect way, you know, around the ears, and the points on the ears kind of are a little sharp. You got to be careful with that. But yeah, I love that this is just kind of like a Batman cowl that you can put in his hands. And then you can see the detail there on the Robert Pattinson head sculpt, and how great that looks, and how every Batman should have the eye black on the eyes when he takes off the cowl, because it's movie accurate for one. And, you know, like, they just never do it. Whenever you see a Batman take off his cowl in the other movies, he's always, you know, goes from wearing the eye black to all of a sudden he's got no eye black. Like, this should be like war paint, you know? Like, it should be a symbol of this character, and leaned into instead of shied away from, you know? But it does look like Robert Pattinson, I think, from every angle. You can see his little subtle stubble on his chin there. Look really good. I don't know if I love this haircut on the head sculpt. So you can swap it out by popping off the front of the hair with a little magnet on top there. And I believe the hair on the back pops off, and then you're able to access the eyes and adjust the eyes, whatever movement you want. But with the swap out hair sculpt, with the messy hair, and you just got to make sure that it's sitting in there correctly, so it's more flush, right? Perfect. And now you got the messy hair look, and I actually like this one a lot more. It puts a little bit more shadow on the eye in the background. I like both of the hairstyles, I guess, but this one is probably the one I would be repping, just because it's a little bit more movie accurate. It's a little bit more messy, you know, and probably what his hair might actually look like if he just pulled off a cowl and he's had a rough night, you know. But yeah, very cool Robert Pattinson head sculpt. I'm very glad that they include this one and the Batman cowl one, but we'll take a closer look at that figure in a second. They also include a little neck sleeve for this, so you can put like the Batman suit on with this, you know, this mask, and still have like a proper neck, so you don't just see this thing hanging out there. You can then see that the Batman cowl also comes with a couple of swap out face molds, kind of like the face mold swap outs for the Peacemaker figure, you know, where like the cowl stays and they just swap out the jaw, or even like the Captain America, they do this as well. But this one, I do see the resemblance to Pattinson quite a bit. The teeth out fully, you know, and like gritting his teeth, and then just kind of with his mouth open a little bit. And then he's got more of like a mouth closed expression on the figure currently, but we'll try both of these jaws out on the figure during the posing section of this video. He also comes with like a sticky bomb gun, where the sticky bomb can just get tucked in there, I believe. And, you know, like, you can store this gun then on his belt, like it's ready to be shot at any moment. Which I don't believe we see him use in the movie, but maybe there was a scene that got cut out, because there is like a part at the end where he comes busting in and like the roof explodes, but we don't see like how the roof explodes. It just explodes and he comes in. But maybe he was laying or shooting sticky bomb grenades, you know, and planning that entrance while, you know, we just didn't see it. It got cut out of the movie or something. There's also these handcuffs that the Batman does come with, and it does open and kind of bend, but maybe you can't close it all the way. Maybe you could, but you just got to play with like that gear, and, you know, don't want to go too fast and bust those little metal pieces on the inside there. But does come with a pair of handcuffs, although I don't see a spot on him to like store them away, but they are there to be able to, like, you know, carry around if you so want to. I believe he comes with 3 die-cast batarangs. One of them's a straight one of them's like as if it was folded up, and one of them comes on his chest on the suit already, which you can remove, which I'll show you guys that in a second when we take a closer look at the figure. But do have some nice weight on them. They are kind of pointy, but you got 2 batarangs that it comes with as accessories, and they're both kind of heavy, you know, metal die-cast batarangs, which is definitely a nice touch. And I love the way that these look, you know, not fully Batman, but still get the vibe across. And yeah, you know, nice little bat symbol. And just to check out this Batarang, it does come with these plastic pieces you plug in on the side. They don't really do anything. They're just faux. There is like a little faux lever on the side as well. But the articulation on this thing, it can go up. It can go all the way down to that little bar and rest there. It does, you know, go straight up and down. I don't know if you can go the other direction with it, but I'm not sure why you would want to. Then the bat symbol would be upside down. You can see the bottom of the base there. Pretty sturdy, pretty huge. And you can see on the back there that it has a spot for a USB-C plug-in and a on-off switch. So you can light up this thing, and we will power this on, and I'll show you what this bat signal looks like. Apparently, it's not so movie accurate with the color, but apparently the logo and how it projects onto a wall looks really good. So they went with the function of the spotlight rather than the movie accurateness of the spotlight. Well, that portion of accessories took forever, but now let's talk about the actual base that he's standing on and the Batman figure himself and take a closer look at that. You can see the base there. It's just kind of like the concrete top kind of for the concrete steps of the diorama base, but you can see the Batman on the front there. And yeah, not too crazy a base. It has the crotch grabber in the back. Or like I was saying, you could put on this base if you so wanted to and then secure it down there with the crotch grabber so that that's not moving. And this could be your display base. If you don't have all that room for this type of display base, you can just do something as simple as this. Or if you want to make this even bigger, you could add this and then also have Batman on the front of this display base, you know? So I really like the versatility that they gave you with the options here. And I can't wait to try some of these options out, but let's take a closer look at this Batman figure. The actual head sculpt himself looks really good. It does pop off like so. You can see how you can change the direction of the eyeballs, and back there it does kind of just magnet onto this neck here. I do love how simple that is. You know, you could adjust the cape, adjust the body, and then just kind of bam, okay, bam, there you go. Heads on, you know, you don't have to like push it, force it on. It's just kind of like, okay, body set, damn, there you go. I love this head sculpt so much. I love the ears, I love, you know, the cowl, I love the Pattinson of it all. You know, at first I was like, Twilight, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but then he really crushed it, and I really like what Matt Reeves is doing with this universe. You have this little thing to be able to reach up and adjust his eyeballs, or I believe you can tuck that behind there, and pop out the Batarang symbol that kind of magnets in there. And you can see this Batarang symbol is much more rounded and molded to his chest than the other ones that are more flat. So this is definitely the only one that can go back on his chest like so, and just pops right back in there, no problem. And I believe this whole chest comes off like a Velcro or something. I don't know if I need to get these off first. I haven't removed it, but that would be how you get the cape off. You take off the shoulder pads, which are also just Velcro, I believe. Take off the chest, slip off the cowl, put the new one on, the Velcro's underneath here, then you put the chest piece back on, the shoulders back on, and bam, you're off and running. But I do like the way that the cape looks. You know, it looks movie accurate, but in person, the feel of it, like it feels so cheap. Like it feels like paper, you know, it feels like a liquor store plastic bag, you know, like I don't like the way that it feels, although it does have like some, you know, wires in the edges of the cape, so it will have some posability. So, I mean, maybe the cape will win me over in the posing section, but for now, I don't love the cape. The rest of the figure, though, I love the detail on the gloves, the gauntlets in here. I'm pretty sure the inside of that pops off for the grappling gun. He's got a couple of pouches and holsters here. He's got that hook there. Maybe that's what you hook the handcuffs onto. There's also like a little carabiner hook there. You got the two spots on his back for the tools, they call it, but I'm saying that they're like more like flares or something. See a little bit of detail underneath the cape there on the old back of this suit. Kind of looks like maybe an old flight suit or something that he repurposed, but they didn't go into as much detail on how he got his Batman suit like Christian Bale's Batman did. There's this holster that opens up on the side here for the sticky bomb gun. I love the little yellow details on the straps and on the boots. Split cut boot design, so you got a little ankle rotation, and then you can just tuck down the boot to make it look perfect. I do like how sturdy this figure stands, and I can't wait any longer, y'all. Let's jump into the posing section of this figure and see all the different things that we can do and see what kind of poses we can get off with this figure, and yeah, see what my creativity and imagination is looking like today. Alright everybody, we have the Batman on the turntable here spinning around for us, and he's just in a regular standing straight up and down relaxed pose, just standing on the Batman display base by himself. And then we have the Batman holding the Riddler card that was addressed to the Batman, and haven't a clue? Does this mean anything to you? And the Riddler unfolding his scheme throughout the movie. I love that they included this little card. And then we have his mouth slightly open faceplate, and he's got the full display base underneath him, and the grappling gun going up and over the railing and shooting off into the distance like he's about to go swing somewhere on his grappling gun. And then we have him with his angry faceplate that he comes with, and he's walking up the staircase throwing the Batarang. And it's the fully extended display base with the extra Batman platform underneath, giving him some extra little height. And then I have my final pose, which will probably be the pose that I rep him in, with the Robert Pattinson head sculpt holding the Batman cowl with all of his accessories on his belt. I got the handcuffs hooked on him, the sticky bombs, his nightstick, his flashlight behind him, and or flares or whatever they are. But I do love how he's standing here in front of us, and you kind of get a little bit of both worlds, where you get the Robert Pattinson, Bruce Wayne head sculpt, but it's got the Batman cowl in his hands, and he's got the black eye makeup. I think it just looks really, really good. But I think he'll look better next to a couple of other DC characters, so why don't we do a couple of figure comparisons? All right, first up, we got a Superman to toss next to our boy Pattinson here, and just a potential Superman that could have been his Superman if he was to end up in the DCEU, but now it's looking like he's just going to be in his own side universe, and it's going to be called DC Elseworlds type thing, and Matt Reeves is going to be able to do his Batman trilogy and not have to worry about James Gunn's DCEU, or James Gunn's DCU going forward. And I was on the camp that I really wanted Pattinson to be the Batman in James Gunn's new DCU, but now that I've seen Superman a whole bunch of times, I really don't know if this Batman works for James Gunn's new DCU. So maybe this Batman just has a trilogy by himself, or however many movies Matt Reeves wants to do, and then leave it at that, and we'll get another Batman with the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and that will be Corn Sweat's Batman, and maybe he'll be, bigger than Pattinson, and maybe he'll be, more colorful and have the Bat family, like the Robins, like the Nightwings, like the Batwoman, Barbara Gordon, and all of that. Maybe that's what James is going for. So I don't know, just give it some time and we'll see. But let's toss him next to another Batman, and the only other Batman I have in my collection. All right, so now we have Batman next to Batman in Christian Bale's Batman Begins Batman, and I actually quite like Batman Begins. I love that Batman suit, but the actual figure itself, the suit is, very squishy, and I think would get damaged if I kept the arms bent for a long period of time. So I have him kind of in as motionless a pose as I could get him to be in, and he's kind of got that frowning Christian Bale head sculpt, but you can just see how far the Batman suit has come, and it's a little bit more maybe real world accurate, and it's got this military-esque armor to it. And Christopher Nolan did, justify why that Batman suit ended up looking the way it does, and trying to justify why the Batman could function the way it does in a real-world setting. But I think Matt Reeves in 2022 and going forward, just with more technology and more capability, what he's able to do with his Batman is just unbelievable. And the way that the Gotham looks, and the Batmobile, and how the story is, and it's a murder mystery, but he's just starting out and he's still a year 2 Batman, but it's not an origin story. I really, really dug what he was going for, and I can't wait to see the Batman Part 2. And I was gonna light up that Batman bat signal for you, but when I went to go plug in the cords I have for it, they didn't work. So, and there's no battery compartment, so there's no way for me to turn on that bat signal. So I spent all this money getting this deluxe version with the bat signal, and my bat signal doesn't even work. What the fuck, Hot Toys? What's the deal with that? And if the cord that it says it works on doesn't work, then maybe you should send a battery pack and a cord to be able to turn on the thing that you sent. Now I just have this clunky big chunk of metal that I don't even know if I want to display anymore. I might just put it back in the box and send it into the closet and have a fucking day. But I have one more figure I want to put next to Robert Pattinson's Batman and see what these two characters look like next to each other, just in case they ever interact in the future. And just in case Peacemaker ever ends up next to this Batman and this Batman does end up in James Gunn's DCU, there would then be the potential possibility that he would end up next to Chris Smith Peacemaker. And if you guys don't know and you haven't seen the videos that are on the channel from this week, there are 2 videos breaking down season 1 of Peacemaker, and I did it in 2 halves, 4 episodes apiece of the 8 episode season 1 of Peacemaker. So breakdown for season 1 is out now on the channel. And just a few days ago, Peacemaker season 2 episode 1 came out, and there's a breakdown for that episode currently on the channel. And over the next 7 weeks, we'll be discussing the rest of the episodes of Peacemaker season 2. So please come on by and join me for that. And I really like the way that these two look next to each other. There's something about the all-black Batman suit next to a pop of color that just looks really good. I really can't wait to see this Pattinson next to David Cornsweat's Superman when I get that Hot Toys figures in. But that's it for me today, y'all. Thank you guys so much for coming on by and joining me for this unboxing video of the Batman and the Bat Signal. I wasn't able to get the Bat Signal on, and the other capes I didn't necessarily try. So there's a few things that we could have done more with this figure, so maybe we'll do those in the future. Comment below if you want to see me get like the Bat Cycle or something, or maybe I'll have to text Hot Toys or send a message back and say, hey, yo, the Bat Signal you sent me fucking broken. What the fuck? But this has been another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing from me. Once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for coming on by and clicking on this video. And if you've made it this far in the video and you'd like to follow my other social medias and chat more with me, the links for those are down in the description below. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is liking this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you get the notifications when future Hot Toys 1/6 scale unboxings come out. Once again, my name is Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.